start the recording now, Hannah, so
No worries.
be on your best behaviour.
Oh, okay. So I shouldn't. I've actually got this permanently sitting on my desk at the moment. I shouldn't get legless already and maybe start with the whiskey, but we're recording, so maybe take that off.
Is that your day today?
That's my baby leg. I've grown a little bit since that little one, thankfully.
Little, yeah.
Yeah, and technology has come a fair way since that one too.
Yeah.
Which is good. Probably literally worth about $25, to be honest.
I think probably the emotional attachment surely is quite strong.
Oh yeah, because it was my ballet leg. Like I painted the toenails pink.
Yeah.
But my ballet teacher said that I had to, start pointing my toes, and I was just like, yeah, I don't think that's quite going to happen.
How did you go with the standing on your tippy toes?
I kind of just do it mostly with my left leg. My physio, I have a lot of amputee humor, everyone. I am a below knee amputee. So apologies about all of my puns that I might slot in. But my physio has nicknamed my legs Brutus and Julius Caesar. So my left leg does everything by force and strength, whereas my right leg, the one that's a little bit shorter, has to do everything by strategy and cunning and be really smart, because he just doesn't have the same bolt that the other ones have. So
It's a male, eh? Yeah,
for some reason, I feel I can say this in an all-female forum at the moment. My amputee, stumpy leg, he looks a little bit like a dick, to be honest. So I feel I have a bit of a masculine element there. Oh dear. Very good. Okay, well, I think we'll get started. So welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining us this evening on Monday, the 28th of September. I appreciate that we're probably joining in from, all across not only Melbourne, Victoria, but around Australia, and perhaps also, I'm not sure if we have anyone further afield than that. Do I have anyone further afield than Australia this afternoon, this evening? Nope. Okay, cool. So just to start off with, I thought it would be really beautiful to bring in a little bit of mindfulness into our acknowledgement of country. So what I'd like us to do, and it's going to be an experiment, so we'll see how we go. It might not work, it might work. What I'd like to invite you to do is push your feet firmly into the floor for me, if you can, or if you're outside like Amanda, perhaps you might be seated on the ground and on the dirt and the grass and the sand, etc. And so just as you're feeling that ground, that earth beneath you, perhaps bring that awareness and intention as we do acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we are all gathered, and we pay our respects to elders past, present, and emerging. Okay. So, welcome everyone. I've got a few experiments for us this evening, and I'm aware that perhaps some people did join in for the first session and others perhaps this might be your first time. So if it is your first time, a massive, massive welcome to you. To begin with, or to continue on with, I'd like to just do a quick check-in to see how you're all traveling at this moment in time. So perhaps use one or two words to describe how you're traveling at this moment in time. So Ross, if I could start with you, how are you traveling right now? Sorry to put you under the pump about the muting and the unmuting and technology. You could also type it. Oh, there we go. Yeah.
Was that Ross or Ros?
Roz. Sorry, Roz.
Yeah. I'm going pretty well, actually. So, yeah, miss the opportunity of sort of seeing friends regularly, but when I do, I take the time and appreciate it.
Definitely. Roz, whereabouts are you located at the moment?
Menai in Sutherland Shire.
Okay.
In Sydney.
Yep. Good weather for you at the moment?
We've had some really cold weather the last couple of days and high winds, but today's been quite good.
Okay, beautiful. Well, thank you for joining us.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. If I could go to you, Kelly, how are you traveling?
I'm hanging on. I'm on the Mornington Peninsula in Victoria, so within the metropolitan LGAs. So yeah, hanging on. Yeah.
Yeah. I appreciate that those in Melbourne and surrounds, we weren't really dealt much positive news yesterday. And it is, everybody's really feeling it at the moment. So maybe we'll weave in a little bit of self-compassion because, yeah, it is pretty tough at the moment. Thanks, Kelly. Leanne, how are you traveling? Oh, you're still on mute, Leanne. Sorry, we can't hear you.
It looked like it came off. I pressed the button and obviously didn't do it properly. I'm doing well, thank you. I'm in Adelaide. This is my first session, so we're quite free here at the moment in terms of where we're going, and I'm actually on holiday, so I'm motoring quite nicely, thank you. Fantastic.
Holiday vibes. Excellent. We'll maybe kind of soak them up from you a little bit. Thanks, Leanne. And Carol, what about yourself? How are you traveling? Just a word or two?
Tired and looking for some patience with management.
Okay. Yep. Well, I don't know if I have patience, but I have spare legs. Getting this is recorded though, so hopefully that's not on camera.
That's fine. Yeah.
Thanks, Carol.
From Melbourne, so just really, really tired.
Yep. I hear you. We will be doing an energizing practice tonight for a little bit of fun, so we'll see how that one goes. Okay, thanks, Carol. Mandy, what about you? How are you traveling?
So Mandy, up in Horsham, I think I'll settle with grateful. There's a lot going on, but I'm grateful that I've got some staff that are muddling through despite all the shit. And grateful because I was able to get out into the Grampians at the moment, and the orchids are flowering on the weekend. So. Oh,
beautiful. Nature is super powerful to help with restoration and to practice great gratitude, mindfulness, and to just be out there. Thank you. Thanks, Mandy. What about you, Suzanne? How are you traveling?
I'm probably a ditto to everybody else. I've just looked at my screen at the back. I don't know. I'm not quite sure why that's on there, but anyway, I probably wish I was on a an island vacation or island holiday right now. I'm a bit of everything. I'm grateful that I'm working from home. I love working from home. I'm grateful that I've got a job, and yeah, I live in Melbourne, but I'm really lucky where I live. It's a really beautiful area. So
yeah, so I think there's some themes of gratitude coming through there. Nature and recognizing that we are doing it tough, and we also have a lot of amazing things in our lives at the moment. We're allowed to be a work in progress and a masterpiece simultaneously. So,
yeah, this is my first session too, so I'm not quite sure. I just happened to see the link through an email with SES, I think it was, and I was like, oh, that sounds perfect. So
welcome.
I hope I'm not gate crashing, but
not at all. We're excited to have you. Welcome.
Thank you. Nice to meet you all.
And Scotia, over to you. Did I pronounce it correctly?
You did. Yes, you did. Thanks, Hannah. And yes, I missed the first session, so thanks for holding this. It's fantastic. Yeah, I'm in Meanjin in Brisbane, Queensland. So definitely grateful for that, and know that Victoria is carrying a lot for us with the COVID impact. But I just had 3 days of running a training for community members and artists in Southeast Queensland who are just going through their anniversary period of the fires, beginning that whole process. So I'm feeling very full from that. It was a pretty big 3 days. So yeah, lots of really good work in, lots of tears, and it's beginning of the big next phase for a lot of people, and a lot of fear around the trigger of media that will happen and politics that will happen and memories, I think. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing, Scotia. It sounds like it's been a really meaningful couple of days. Also taking note that, you know, there's this energy that we draw out to do that meaningful work, and when we're giving, and then also recognizing we need to put something back in our own tanks. Okay, Amanda, over to you. How are you traveling?
Yeah, I'm good today. I had a rough day last Friday. Some of you will be aware because I posted about it on LinkedIn, but it was just quite amazing, and amazing that Scotia's joined, because I just was feeling rotten for no reason. And I received some beautiful parcels in the post from Creative Recovery Network and Creative Responders, which is Scotia's organisation. And it's, you know, how could she possibly know that I was having a crap day? And then it just sort of made everything better. And I'll just say that the universe came to me when I needed it. And it also snowed here where I am in the Dandenong Ranges Friday, and I went for a walk and it started snowing, which is really quite rare. And it was beautiful, and I felt better, and I felt better since. And yeah, you saw that view. That's where I live. So yes, believe it or not, I'm in Metro Melbourne, lockdown, but I'm locked down here. It's not so bad. And I'll just tell you, I'm here tonight with my chooks. So they're going to join us for.
They'll be wondering what you're up to at some points, but that's okay. They'll be a good audience for us all, I think. Thanks for sharing.
My apologies if the rooster crows.
It is, the universe does work in some beautiful ways sometimes. So I'm glad it looked out for you on Friday when you needed it. Okay, Jill, over to you. How are you traveling?
I was going to say not so good. I couldn't work out how to turn the video on and the microphone off. Look, I'm okay. I'm doing all right. I'm sitting up here in the Dandenong Ranges as well, but on the other side of the mountain to Amanda. So I'm at Tacoma, which is just near Belgrave, Puffing Billy. And I'm in the middle of all sorts of things, including packing to go and move into my new house, which is beckoning me in Yarra Glen, in Yarra Ranges, the Yarra Valley.
Yep.
So during this sort of COVID lockdown thing, I've been very fortunate that there's been no hold-ups to my house. A few little glitches here and there. It's a new build, and it's almost finished, and I'll be heading over there very soon. So I'll bid a fond farewell to the Dandenong Ranges, but head over to the Yarra Valley. I have to say, it's like Amanda, I've been on a bit of a roller coaster as well, and I'll just reflect on a number of people I've spoken to recently, quite a few that are doing it tough, and yeah, so I think it's a time of this. I don't know, it's just a terrible time, and your heart bleeds and wants to, I just want to give everyone a big hug, and you're not allowed to, of course. And so there's a lot of people doing it tough, and a lot of people are worse off than me. And every day I wake up, well, I'm grateful that I wake up, and I'm grateful that I've got so many beautiful things in my life, but there's a lot of people doing it tough at the moment.
There is. It's, yes. How can we help? And and always remember that even perhaps just a smile, even if we're wearing a mask, you can still see it in your eyes when you're smiling, the Duchenne smile. And that can really help pass on that emotion to other people, because emotions are literally contagious. We have in the brain, there's technical terms for it, but they're known as mirror neurons. So when we are smiling and when we are passing that on, it is contagious. And you never know, like a smile might change someone's day. There's the beautiful story of how a person was walking down the street and they smiled at the gentleman who was, you know, standing on the side of the bridge and looking out over to the water. And it turned out he was thinking of taking his own life. And he said to himself, if one person smiles at me, then I will take the step back. So you never know the power of a smile. Even if we are wearing that face mask, you can still see it, all right? It's also good for us as well. Okay, thanks for sharing, Jill. And Jay Lee, sorry, I'm not sure what your first name is. How are you traveling at the moment?
Hi, this is Jo. I think my work does that for us. I'm here with my beautiful kids, and they're very excited for today's session.
Thank you. Fantastic. Welcome, everybody. Lovely to have you on board. Fantastic. Have I missed anyone? Kelly, did I get to you? Sorry, I've got COVID brain at the moment.
Oh, you got me.
Okay, good. I thought I did, and I'm like, oh, just double check. Okay, fantastic. Well, thank you everyone for sharing. I think it's really important to recognize where we're all at, and hopefully tonight will be a chance to not only experience a little bit of energy, but then also perhaps a little bit of calming and restoration as well. So for those of you who are relatively new to the mindfulness space, we're going to do some mindfulness practices tonight, formal practices. You can do formal and informal practices. So informal ones are just when you're using your senses, or you know that you're in the present moment. So it might be when you're having a shower and you feel that warm water rushing over you, or when you're outside and you're looking at the flowers and you actually are stopping to smell the roses. So we experience a whole lot of mindful moments informally. And then our formal practices include when we're more seated or standing or lying down and really focusing on our breath or using our senses to come back into the present moment. We're not going to explore too much in depth how mindfulness is defined, because, you know, everybody has their own definition. So it's really a personal thing, but if I could just bring in maybe a few components here. There's one component of mindfulness, which is all to do about attention. So where we currently have our attention. So we're not ruminating about the past. We're not getting anxious about the future, but our attention is in the present moment. And then it's also about our attitude. So making sure, I mean, there's a lot of debate and written research around, you know, mindfulness, and anyone can use mindfulness, and it can be used as a tool for, you know, good and evil, like an American sniper if they want to train their attention or something like that. But that's not the true essence of mindfulness, because it has this attitude component, which also links to the heart space. So we're really coming from a heart space and a compassionate space when we are looking to do these practices. So that's after that brief introduction. I just wanted to use a metaphor to illustrate that perhaps, does anyone else here have a brain that kind of sometimes overloads them? Can maybe, you know, be a little bit like a monkey or an elephant just nattering away, and you're just like, please shut up. And it's telling you really unhelpful things. Yeah, thanks Leanne for that hand up there. So who here has ever seen a documentary of Africa? Yeah, nods, hands. Thank you. Fantastic. And what kind of things have you seen in those documentaries? And this could probably be a helpful time where we use the chat function. So what kind of things would you have seen in those documentaries? Beautiful. Thanks, Jill. So animals and hunting. Animals. Yep. Good work, Amanda. Thank you. Different cultures. Definitely, Leanne. Vast beauty, wildlife. Yep. People and tribes dancing. Fantastic. Sunsets. We've got nature in there. So thanks, everyone. Fantastic. Do you think that documentary is the same as if you were actually in Africa witnessing the deserts and the beautiful scenery, or the animals and the wildlife and the people and tribes dancing and, you know, eating the berries from the forest? Do you think? Hell no. Okay, thanks, Jill. Yeah, it would be completely different experience. And that documentary, so by the time we reach around about 30 years old, our brains have been filming for over 300,000 hours, 330, it's million hours of footage. And so what happens is that footage gets cut down. And so in the same way as a documentary, hundreds and hundreds of hours of filming have been cut down into a single hour. And so it's extremely biased because it's, you know, it's been produced, it's been directed to fit into that 1 hour, and, you know, whoever's funding it has a say in what's being seen. So in a similar way, your brain is the world's largest documentary maker. So you have all of these thousands and thousands of hours of footage chopped down into 0.01%, which gets retained in long-term memory. And that 0.01% is your story of who you are. And it might be unhelpful in some senses, in that, oh, I'm not really good at that, or I've tried that before and I can't do it, because that's the story that the brain remembers. So what mindfulness can help us to do is to become aware of that documentary that's continuously playing in our head, and be able to take a step back from it. So that's just one analogy, which hopefully illustrates a little bit this concept of mindfulness. Now, what I'd like us to do for our first practice and exercise tonight is we're going to do a formal practice of mindfulness, and it's known as a body scan. And it's just a really beautiful tool that can be used to help perhaps go to sleep each night, or just to train that attention and focus, and start to shift our awareness from that documentary, which can sometimes be unhelpful, and bring it back into the here and the now. So this practice can be done either seated or lying down. And I'll invite you all now to choose your positions, which can be seated or lying down. And you're more than welcome to, for during this practice, to turn your cameras off if that makes you feel more comfortable. So if you could, if you're seated, could you please press your feet firmly into the floor for me? And just rest your hands comfortably in your lap. And imagine that there's a piece of string slowly pulling up your spine towards the ceiling. If you're lying on the floor or on the ground outside with beautiful views of the Dandenongs, then please lie down with your feet just relaxed and perhaps slightly dropped out to the sides with your arms by the side of your body, palms facing upwards. You may wish to place something under your knees for a little bit of comfort. And depending on temperature, you may like to cover yourself with a blanket while we do this practice. And I'd like to invite you to close down the eyes, as this will eliminate that sensory input that we get from our sight. However, if this doesn't feel comfortable for you, then you're more than welcome just to simply lower your gaze and perhaps pick a meter or so in front of you and just gently hold that focus. So you're not looking to dart the eyes around here, there, and everywhere. Just gently focus on something, not intensely though, just relaxed. And so now, just becoming aware of that ground, either underneath your feet or the body, and feel how it supports you at this moment in time. And perhaps your seat might also be supporting you. And just slowly become aware of the fact that you're breathing, noticing the breath as it enters and leaves the body. We're not looking to control the breath at this point in time, just looking to notice as it ebbs and flows. And perhaps noticing the breath at a point that's prominent for you, whether that be feeling it as it enters and exits through your nostrils. Perhaps it could be the rise and fall of your belly. Whatever place it is, just keeping your focus on that one place rather than switching around. And perhaps this is the first time you've actually noticed the breath today. This breath that is giving us life force, and that we do on average about 25,000 times a day. Now just shifting your attention from the breath to any sounds that you can hear in the distance or outside the room in which you are practicing. And so just using your curiosity to explore these different sounds. It's almost like you're perhaps a giant satellite that's tuning into various sounds for 3 to 4 seconds before tuning into a different sound. Just exploring the different tones, frequency, perhaps the pitch. I'm not looking to hold on to these sounds, just almost letting them wash through you. And now just bringing your attention to sounds a little bit closer. So perhaps either inside the room in which you are practicing, or perhaps closer afield, sounds from nearby houses or chickens roaming around. You might also notice perhaps some silences in between various sounds. Now just bringing your attention and your focus to the sound of your own breath. Perhaps noticing the different sound that the inhale makes compared to the exhale. The sound of the air at the back of your throat. And perhaps then moving from the breath, and while you may not be able to hear your heartbeat per se, just bringing awareness to any feeling of that heartbeat throughout the body. Whether it be your heart in your chest or other pulses that you can feel throughout the body, perhaps in the neck or the chest, the wrists. Just seeing if you can feel that heartbeat. So we've done a little bit of internal exploration. Now we're just going to turn our focus and our attention to each body part as it's named. So we're just looking to bring awareness to each body part. We're not looking to tense it, to move it, just to bring our attention and focus to that body part. So we'll begin with the right hand thumb, bringing your attention and your focus to the right hand thumb, your pointer finger, middle finger, ring finger, and little finger. The palm of your right hand, the top of your right hand, your wrist, forearm, elbow, upper arm, shoulder, side of the waist, your right hip, your upper leg, right knee, shin and calf, the heel of your right foot, the sole of your right foot, the top of your right foot, your big toe, second toe, third toe, fourth toe, and fifth toe. And now moving across to the left-hand side of the body, bringing your attention and your focus to the left-hand thumb, pointer finger, middle finger, ring finger, and little finger. The palm of your left hand, the top of your left hand, your left wrist, forearm, elbow, upper arm, shoulder, side of the left waist, left hip, upper leg, left knee, shin and calf, heel, sole of the left foot, top of the left foot, your right big toe, your left big toe, second toe, third toe, fourth toe, and fifth toe. Now going to the other side of the body, beginning with your right hand glute, your left glute, lower back, middle back, upper back, back of the neck, back of the head, crown of the head, your forehead, your right eyebrow and your left eyebrow. Now just feeling that space between the center of your eyebrows. So just resting and pausing there for a moment in that space. Now focusing on the right ear and the left ear, your right eyelid and your left eyelid, your right eye and your left eye. The side of your nose on the right-hand side, the left-hand side of your nose, your right nostril and left nostril, your upper lip, lower lip, chin, front of the neck, right collarbone, left collarbone, right-hand side of the chest, left-hand side of the chest, your abs, your pelvic floor. Now bringing your attention, your focus to the whole torso, feeling that whole torso together and resting in awareness. Now bringing into your awareness the torso and the legs. So all of your legs, all of your torso. And expanding that awareness to the torso, the legs and the arms. And finally bringing in the head and a sense of the whole body, either sitting or lying here. So just sitting in awareness with that whole body. Noticing that breath as it enters and leaves this body. And from time to time, as we're doing this exercise, your mind might get hooked by different thoughts, which is all completely normal because the mind is a thought-making machine. This is what it does. It's a documentary maker. We can choose, though, to step back from that, to unhook from it, and just return our focus and our attention to the whole body, sitting here or lying and breathing. And now just perhaps taking 3 of the deepest breaths that you've taken today in your own time. Preferably if you can inhale through your nostrils, and then you can either exhale through the nostril or out through the mouth. Could be helpful to make sure that you're doing this deep into your belly. So perhaps placing a hand over the belly and feeling it rise as you inhale and fall as you exhale. Once you've finished your 3 deep breaths, just gently wiggling your fingers and your toes. And if you've been lying down, perhaps you could lie to one side, roll to one side, and pause there for a moment before you come up to a seated position. If you've been seated, just gently open your eyes. There's no rush. Just bringing yourself back into the room in which you're practicing. Welcome back, everyone. So that was a body scan. We also incorporated some mindfulness of hearing through different sounds. And then we also did a little bit of mindfulness of the breath in there as well. So I threw in a few just to keep you on your feet. So I'm just curious, did anybody notice any shifts or feel comfortable to share their experience of how that body scan exercise was for them? You can chat or you can put yourself off mute, whatever you feel comfortable with.
Sometimes when I do the mindfulness, things like that, I actually fall asleep, but you know, shutting down the body, but this time just with the hands and then the changing sides actually kept me in the moment, and that my mind, I didn't feel like my mind wanted that much, and I've had a really busy day, so yeah, I found that I was a lot more in the moment.
Fantastic. Thank you for that feedback, Suzanne. And as you mentioned, it can be helpful sometimes if you are looking to get to sleep as a practice. And I know when I've had a busy day and I'm looking to unwind, then I will just go through and I'll keep scanning the body, and I might do it a handful of times before I eventually nod off to sleep, with or without an audio, depending on what I'm feeling. I've generally found I just ebb and flow, and I listen to my body in terms of if I feel like a guided meditation or mindfulness session, or if I'm after more of a free flow approach where I'll just scan through the body myself. So it can also be helpful for focus and attention. Thanks for sharing. I think we've got a few in the chat as well. Ready for a nap now. Thanks, Jill. Feeling more settled, and it's nice to just stop. Thanks, Mandy and Kelly. Good night, everyone. I think we've lost Amanda. Very good. So anybody else, any other reflections at this point in time? I would like to point out that, if you do fall asleep during any of these sessions today or coming up in the future, that's completely okay. Just, means we probably need a little bit more sleep, and hopefully if I can give you a little bit of shut-eye, that's great too. A little bit calmer. Okay, beautiful. So I just wanted to share a little bit of research with you around doing a body scan. I do come from an academic background, and personally, I am aware of my own biases in that I came into this space because I didn't want a cereal box approach, so some like hocus pocus, I suppose. I wanted things that did have some evidence behind it, and there is bloody lots of evidence now for mindfulness and the associated practices. However, I do completely respect and honor, and I find a lot of enrichment from the Eastern traditions and what they bring to the space, given that this is where it has come from. But we can practice mindfulness in a non-secular way as well. So it's really up to the individual and your own journey. But from a science perspective, there was a study done where they recruited 62 participants and they completed a somatic signal detection task. So it's literally just, using the finger to record various pieces of data. And so they did this exercise before and after a body scan meditation like the one we just did. And there was also a control group who just listened to a recorded story. So what they noticed was that the mindfulness group had increased sensitivity to that somatic detection task. And you also were able to report less false alarms. So it's just showing that our touch and our sensory inputs can be changed and improved through activities such as this body scan. So it just helps us to become a bit more aware of our body and checking in. So usually if we have a stimulus, then the body will be like, oh, it's painful, but it might not actually be pain. So we just have a little bit more awareness of what's going on in our body. So moving on to our next experiment for the night, which will be, it's more of a breathwork practice than a mindfulness practice. So there's a lot of overlap between these two traditions. So breathwork, probably a little bit more prescriptive, although this one's going to be quite free-flowing and hopefully a lot of fun. So we're going to look to do an experiment with sighing. Now, sighing is a natural urge which we're generally told to repress because it's quite rude. Now, it is a natural urge, and it's just an expression of emotion and can be really helpful sometimes. So it can help us release tension. It can help us release frustration or anger. It can be energizing, or it can be calming. It can also help with focus. So it really depends on the nature of our sigh. So when we do look at the breath, scientists tell us that, 90% of us are breathing incorrectly. And that includes when we're, stifling a sigh or, stifling a yawn. We're breathing a lot through our mouths on our inhale, and a whole vast array of other maladies that we won't go into tonight. But sighing itself can be a lot of fun. We might do it for various reasons, such as in fear or anger, or perhaps if our loved one has given us, a bunch of flowers or chocolates, and we sigh because it's really sweet. But it can help us shift emotion that we've been grasping onto. So a good example is if you guys just put your arms out like so, and grasp really, really, really hard onto something. Now, if I get you to do this for the next 20 or 30 seconds, so do it with me, grasping, 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 and it's going to get pretty tiring. Like, my hands are already getting sore. But if you continue to do this all day long, it would be very tiring. So this experiment of sighing can help us let go of some of that tension. So if you have low blood pressure, just be quite aware of when you're doing this exercise. You can sometimes, like if you have low blood pressure, probably stay more seated. We will do seated and standing, but just go with what's right for you. Pause when necessary, and have fun is the most important thing. If you're also pregnant, I'd also recommend just staying seated rather than doing it standing when we move into part 2. So if I could all ask you now to have a little bit of courage, turn your microphones off mute, and we're just going to practice some sighing together. So we're going to be sitting firstly with some good posture and taking a deep breath in through our nose and concentrate on filling up the lungs and letting the stomach move outwards. And as we release the air, making an audible sigh. So, let it out. Maybe it might be a long sigh. It might even be a short sigh. So practice playing around with, is it short? Is it long? And then if you can even get some hand movement happening here. So just getting that energy out. Have some fun and listen to the other sighs as well. So just do a couple here, either vocalizations. And notice, maybe pause for a second and just notice if you've had a shift. Bring some awareness to the body. See if you've had any shifts just from doing a couple of sighs, a couple of really audible sighs. Okay, so I'm going to
Is that a yawn or a sigh?
I can't stop yawning.
I'm going to invite you all.
Might be serving the same purpose.
If you can stand and use the space that you have. So I just want you to start walking a little bit and bring in the arms and sigh it out. So, or if there's any tension you've had today, just all of those bloody COVID-ness restrictions. We are. You might want to play around with the arms. You might even just let the arms hang. You might get the shoulders involved.
We're all in white.
A softer sigh. And I'm just going to congratulate you all for totally getting into this, because sometimes people can feel self-conscious. Good work. Now, just do one more sigh in your own time. If you can, now if you're standing or seated, just gently closing the eyes and taking a moment to reflect on how you are right now. What's shifted? Has anything? What does the body feel like? Are there any emotions running now around the body? Has there been any energetic shift?
So before, I felt like I was going to fall asleep before, clearly. I'm a bit more awake now.
Yeah.
Very good. So everyone take a seat, or you can continue standing if you'd like to, whatever's good for you. So Jill, I think you said you had some feedback that you feel a little bit more awake now. So thank you for that feedback.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. What's that? How does that feel for you? How's it coming out in the body?
Feeling a bit more awake, you mean? Well, I was sitting here before, and you know, I really could have just, I felt like I hit a wall. I just wanted to lay down and go to sleep. But it sort of reinvigorated me a little bit. Just getting up and moving. Maybe it's a bit of an adrenaline rush, or I don't know. But I feel more awake.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for sharing that reflection. And Leanne, I noticed that you just typed in you stayed seated because you have low blood pressure and already lightheaded. Were you able to join in at all during that practice?
Yeah, definitely. I have generally got low blood pressure. Yeah, so it's fine. But yeah, I could feel the lightheadedness, but it's still refreshing, and yeah, I think just to get some oxygen flowing around, some fresh air.
Yeah, some oxygen and a little bit of movement as well. So I'm glad that you did stay seated. So yes, if you are feeling lightheaded, it is a good one. You can still practice it either seated. I haven't experimented with it lying down. I imagine it, you know, I don't know, maybe you guys can practice that next week and let me know how you go. So Mandy, you've typed in that your shoulders are more relaxed, as well as Carol. Shoulders are relaxed. Got the yarns now. Stab the cat off.
It was meant to be yawn.
So thanks, Mandy. It can be either, yeah, it can be used to energize, or we can use it to calm ourselves as well. So it's just a fun one. It's more kind of informal, and just tapping into, you know, that natural urge that we do have, and perhaps letting that shine through rather than doing what our culture has dictated to us and suppressing that. So I hope that one was a little bit of fun for you all. Just wondering, does anybody have any questions about anything that we've covered tonight, or just in general? Yes, Roz?
This is a naive question from an old tart. How do you type things on the screen?
So, Roz, down the bottom of Zoom, there's a chat button. Can you see that one?
Roz, hover your mouse over your screen and it might pop up.
I'm on an iPad.
Top right-hand corner, there's 3 dots. Press those and then it will say chat.
Oh, thank you. Yay.
I'm on my Okay, so now you have to share everything that you wanted to chat about for the last hour.
Oh, very good.
Woohoo!
Glad to help solve that mystery. Very good. Any other questions, team? Okay, beautiful. Well, thank you so much for joining us tonight. On behalf of the AWE network, it's been an absolute pleasure hosting you all, and I hope both the body scan exercise and that sighing exercise has brought a little bit of joy into your life, perhaps in various ways. But thank you so much for joining us, and I really wish you a wonderful week, and let's all take, steps together, and just remember to reach out for help if you do need some support, and connect in with those people around you. So thank you everyone so much for joining us.
Is there another session, or is this the last session?
Great question. We do have 2 more sessions.
Oh, good.
They're generally the last Monday of each month. So bear with me while I pull up the date for the next session. It will be
26th of October. It's my birthday.
Okay, 26th of October. Everyone, we need to remember it's Amanda's birthday because we will be singing happy birthday next time.
You don't want me to be singing.
Oh, we do indeed, Roz. Very good. So hopefully you can join us for our next session. It'll be at 5 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. I'm not sure if daylight savings will have kicked in by then.
Yeah.
They've kicked in, and for everybody it's the same link. I'll just keep using the same link for all the sessions, so we'll jump on and I'll record them again. Hannah, I thought I might just trim the front end when we're all just having a bit of a reveal, because I don't think that's really appropriate to share. So I might kick the recording in when we've all finished sharing and you start weaving your magic. If that's just fair for everybody. So thank you so much again. I feel a lot better, and I feel better just by being with all these fabulous women. I know most of the women here now, and I think you're all fabulous, and thanks for spending the afternoon with me. It's so good to see you all. I can't wait to see you all again.
And here's counting. Yes. Thank you. That sounds fantastic. Thanks, Amanda. Okay.
I feel like I'm a bit of a gate crasher, but I'm so glad I came across the link. that was fantastic.
Thanks for joining up, Suzanne.
Yeah, thank you.
Welcome. But you have to join the network now.
Yeah, I'd like more information. I was just having a look how I just by out of the blue, I think I saw it on the VICSES.
Or network.org.au, awenetwork.org.au.
I've signed up, but the membership, I'll look into the membership. And
no, there's the same thing. You're in. You're one of us.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm in.
Yep.
Okay. Oh, great. Okay.
Welcome.
Thanks. Actually, Scotia, I was wondering, can I Google creative responders?
Put the link in the chat.
Yes, please do.
You mean for the podcast?
Oh,
or our
it's a
website?
podcast. I don't know. You
Yep.
were talking about that earlier. Creative responders.
Creative recovery. Yeah, I'll just put it in the website.
Creative recovery. Okay. Oh, thank you.
Love it.
Thank you.
Love it. So much goodness. So much goodness. Okay, I'm signing off, everyone. Have a good evening.
See you all.
Thank
Good
you.
night.
Thank you.
Beautiful.